Can you call the name of the prophet in prayers? In the Yola Nabi, Rao, Thomas Adra, you have explained this other time. It's able to say, for Allah, consider the prestige of the somebody, to attend my prayer. You need it. Wala Nabi, wala Eja, wala Guru, wala Ya, wala Baba, wala Baba, wala Bikila Tiki, wala Baba Bawa, wala Baba Jongolo, wala Baba It's not part of them. It's not part of the religion. They are introduction to our religion. So we have to explain how you are going to do your dua. What we can say is what the Prophet Muhammad alone. I want you to consider the fact that I follow diligently.
Hello.
What you can say is, Allah, consider the fact that I am using my days to his own acts. The good deeds that you can use to ask of Allah, what you can see for honor of the person or another for a day.
She said I should collect it from you.
Yeah, hello Rex.
Hello.
Yeah, hi Nima. Did you? Okay, so I was saying that I would like you to place your device on a platform, on a steady platform, so that it's not shaky.
Okay, if I place it on a steady platform, you don't have to see my face today.
Come again?
I said if I place it on a steady platform, alright, is this okay?
Or if you're going to hold it, just try as much as possible to make sure your hands are steady.
Is this okay?
Oh no, it's not, because you seem tilted to the other side. Okay, so this is a good view. Okay, great. So let's just go ahead, Nima. You know what we're discussing. We're discussing faith of the IDPs, and I know that you have visited a few, perhaps one or two or more, and you have first-hand experience, which is what I'd like you to share with us today. When you visited, where have you visited, and what was your experience?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Arda, project manager for an
Okay,
organization.
Nima, sorry, before you go on, just two quick things. If you would please raise the platform, because there's a lot of headroom, and then speak a little louder, because...
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, it's a little better.
I hope the surround noise is protected.
Yeah, if you could just project a little more.
Is the surround noise affected?
Come again?
Is the surround noise affected?
No, the surround noise is not better. If you increase the volume of your voice, it'd just be manageable.
This is the loudest we can go.
Okay, so let's try this.
Okay. Yeah, I said my name is Erika Bunima, and I'm a project manager for an organization in Lagos, Nigeria. So the IDPs, the situation of IDPs has been a pet project for me since last year, February 2014. So a year later, I decided to attend. To go visit the camps, to be able to assess things from it. to be honest, it's not a place safe for human. What's that word? It's not safe for human fancy. I mean, the day I went there, those days that it rained in Medjugorje. Usually, we know where that region is, and we know how they are not prone to rainfall. So, having been there, it was raining. The NYC campus I visited, it was raining and it was windy. According to the way they were teaching, the way the IDPs they were given not individual tents. I mean, you would find 50 persons in a tent, and you would find about 30 to 50 people in the tent. You understand? So it was raining, and the tent. I also saw. I witnessed people get buckets and dustpan.
You witnessed what? I didn't get that.
I witnessed people using dustpans and buckets trying to get water out of their tents. And the tent was actually overcrowded. Because I remember last year, a group of people also, we built a playroom for the kids of IDPs, and we had to have like a little playroom where they would be. But this year, the playroom, people now occupy the playroom because the camp is pretty full, and they kind of occupy the amount of people that come in. So generally, the place is not safe and it's not hygienic. Health-wise, it's not advisable for anyone to put themselves in such a situation, want to be in such a situation.
Okay, thank you, Nima. Let me move over to Modupe, who has just joined us. Thank you, Modupe, for joining the Hangout. Now, you know what we're discussing? We're discussing faith of the IDPs, and because you ladies have had first-hand experience, we'd like you to share with us what that experience is.
Oh, hello, Nima. Hello, Maiwa. So, can you hear me? Can you hear me properly?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay. So, the truth about it is, the IDP situation as it stands is actually it's a very sad situation, and then we all understand that it's a fallout issue of the conflicts that have been, that we have been experiencing in the Northeast. I was going to say day, but at the end of the day, it's Nigeria and it's our country, and then it's easy for us in the Southwest, even in the East, to get disconnected from the reality. So how it works is you hear that, oh, there are certain people that do not have homes as a result of the violence in the Northeast. They have been taken away from their homes, their communities have been destroyed, and they are living in camps. It's one thing for you to hear it, it's another thing for you to actually see it. Now, one of the first times I came in contact with this situation, to be honest, I was actually writing a paper, and I was writing a paper for school. So I was going to talk about, usually I was supposed to write about the conflict itself. But while I was writing about the conflict in the Northeast, I realized that, there's a major fallout issue, and, it's basically a humanitarian crisis on our hands that nobody is talking about, which was the IDP situation. So I put it up on Twitter, and I started asking people that, what's happening with this, people that have actually been displaced? Because as at then, in fact, Neymar had the mandate to, to deal with the situation. But as at then, Neymar was the National Emergency Management Agency. They were a bit slow in the sense that I wasn't getting any information from them. So I had to start asking people personally, one-on-one, that, okay, you are from Adamawa, for instance. I know that this has been happening in Adamawa. So what exactly are the plans? These people that have been displaced from their homes, where have they been living and all of that? And then at the end of the day, I couldn't get any any particular source. I had to get information from pockets of people, different people that say, oh, you know what, there's this man in my village, he houses 30 people that have been displaced. He himself, he lives in a 2-bedroom flat, so all of them have to sleep on the compound, on the floor. They were very sad stories that even at the time I couldn't relate to them as well. Now I met Neema at some point, and then she had been doing some work in Borno as at then. So we got talking, and then we collaborated on a couple of projects. But as at this time, I hadn't even been to the Northeast, so it wasn't something that I wouldn't say I understood it fully at that point. I just heard, how you just hear that there are people that are internal refugees, and oh yeah, it's a sad situation. Let's send them food. Let's send them clothes. Let's send them water. And then sometime in November 2014, I was talking to a friend, and then he's from Adamawa, and he told me that, you know what, Modipe, I think you need to come and see this for yourself, because if someone from the Southwest who is not related in any way to the North comes and sees this thing and comes to tell people that, okay, this is how bad the situation is, maybe people will be moved to listen to you a little more than we, because we're from the North. So when we complain, they say, oh, but you are the elite, why don't you take care of your own? So I went to Adamawa. At the time, I couldn't even tell my mother I was going, because this was at the point where you had communities that were being, you still had you had communities that were being captured right at that particular moment. So but my friend had told me that, oh, he had assured me of my safety and says, we're going to stay in town, we're not going to go near the interiors and all of that. So I went there, I went to Yola. I was very scared, but I went regardless. I told only a few people. I didn't want to tell so many people, because a lot of people would discourage you. So on getting to the camps, I mean, it's I don't know how to describe what I saw, but I'm telling you that I'm not sure I could stay clear-eyed for more than 5 minutes, because at every point in time something just makes you cry. If it's not someone that just puts to bed and doesn't have, she just put to bed, literally had to go through labor on her own, and then she's just there, no medical attention, nothing. It is a couple of kids crying, saying that they do not know where their parents are. There was even this particular boy, he had this injury on his leg, and then he said he had been running away from Boko Haram. He was about 7. He had run away from Boko Haram when he had the injury. And there's so many of those stories. And it was just, you had people sleeping on the floor. They had tents, but these tents were in conditions where you'd not expect human beings to live, and it was a very sad situation. And at that particular point in time, I started feeling a bit guilty for my privilege, and I said, oh my goodness, this could have been me, this could have been my family, this could have been, I'm a Nigerian, and then I don't know, it's a very sad situation. And then, but for me, I'm of the opinion that people should not remain internally displaced forever, and that's what I've been saying. I think that the focus right now should be on...
Before we go into solutions and what should be done, let me go over to Nima, who spoke earlier. Now, Nima, Modupe has given me, some detail to an extent of what she experienced. I'm sure you would have, something similar perhaps. You want to tell me stories of, stories you encountered?
Okay, so I got into my degree, I think, in the...
Okay, Nima, please do me a favor by holding the microphone to your mouth so that, it comes a little clear.
Can you hear me better now?
This is much better. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
So I said I got into my degree on the 8th of June, I think, which was Wednesday. And I got in late, the car whole checkpoint. I spent about 8 hours to 9 hours on the road. And getting to where we had we actually saw a sand, which is something I've never witnessed in my life. It was extremely zero sand.
Okay, Nima, it's bad again. You may need to actually hold the microphone to your mouth. I'm sorry for the inconvenience.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, it's better when you hold it. Thank you.
All right. So, getting into my degree, I witness the whole that were able to see no visibility at all. And in a situation as such, I was actually disappointed that all the way from Kano, out of Kano, through Jigawa, through Bauchi, going through Yobe and getting into Borno, not a single street light. Now, this is a region where, it's prone to things like this. You would expect that, governors or whoever, the highest they will do is at least create some form of plan for visibility in case of things like this. So getting into Medjugorje, I got in late and I had to hotel, and I went the next day. We had to start visiting some parties. Now, the issue is this. It's pretty disappointing that Emma isn't really doing what the supposed to do. In Medjugorje, I'm using we have we have the amount of unregistered camps are actually more than the registered camps, which is disappointing. So I went to the unregistered camps to give out food items from feed the person this Ramadan. That was the drive. And getting into there, see people who you, an individual, would be really scared because the news is Boko Haram actually loves places with gatherings, meaning they see people gathered, they just send one in and they detonate whatever. So I was really scared getting into Medjugorje. So getting to sharing the food. So I was done at camp and I went to another settlement. Now we got to this settlement, the first time everyone was really, they were acting orderly, giving and forming a line like we asked them to. And I got to the second settlement and was sure. Next thing, we were trying to ask everyone to get on the line and we were giving, you would see really frail people running after your car, trying to get food items and everything. The car in front of me was the Hilux, which had the food item, and the car was in. So we're just tailing. Next thing we knew, we just saw people jumping into it, trying to drag out like whatever they could. This is food items, like basic contained certain things. We saw people jump into this, into trying to drag out whatever they could. And the driver was very wise enough to maneuver his way, and he got out. And when I had to stop at some point because I didn't really understand. So I stopped and I asked them like, okay, so can you please explain why you were jumping into the car? Because I didn't get it. I only see things like this in movies, like no one movie and the rest. But when I got talking with these individuals, I realized that things like this do not. Things like people giving them food items to them. The highest you would see is a rich man from that region just putting them in school that he bought, telling them, okay, this is a new settlement for you guys. You can be there. However, they don't take care of they don't give the necessary, the basic things, like food, healthcare, and its likes. So when I got talking, they don't get food much. So some go as far as 3 to 4 to 5 days eating. So when they saw that food had really come, they always had to jump and do whatever. They had to take whatever because they didn't know what the next meal was. So they already gone. Me back as well. The next day, I went to the next day was my which this is funny, by the way. I was in my hotel, and as of I think later around 4, I came out and I went to like just sit down outside and everything. And one of the soldiers who was outside, who had his boss at the hotel and came to see him, he was like, so I was talking to him and I said, okay, please, can you take me to, where you people, where you carry out some of your combats? Like, I would just like to go into the forest if you can take me. And they said no, that they can't take me because, they've had cases where they're driving in their APN and, a mine explodes and the next thing, so they can't account for me if they take me. So he told me that he went as far as telling me that down the road, the hotel, which was a few blocks away, his bomber was actually caught. So his sister bomber was caught, and this is me in Medjugorje with family. I mean, like this was two of my friends, and the family didn't know where I was because I had to do their raps. The plan was to tell them after I had Medjugorje, but then. It's funny how these people actually live in fear. You don't know who you know, you don't know where you live. Next thing you hear is boom, that's it. Like, if someone had told me that this is how this is what they do, I wouldn't that out after it was the
All right, Nima. Now, okay, all right, Nima, let me cut in right there and move over to Mojupe. Now, Mojupe, the issue of the IDPs, as gained more attention in the past few weeks.
Sorry, could you come again, please, Maya?
Okay, great. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. So I was saying that
I
the
can hear
issue
you,
of
but it's cracking up. I'm not sure if that's from me.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's see. How about now?
Okay, yeah, you look clearer now.
It's better now, great. So I'm saying that the fate of IDPs has come to the attention of media a lot in the past few days and weeks. Now we're beginning to, as opposed to, just getting numbers of people in IDPs, now we're hearing stories of ill treatment, we're hearing stories of of bad accommodation. Accommodation is already bad, but when you hear about some degree of accommodation, some level of accommodation, you begin to wonder what exactly is going on. We're now hearing issues or allegations about officials being corrupt, and materials and resources that are meant for these people have been channeled into other means. All sorts have begun to come up in the past few weeks. What is your reaction to this? What can you say about this?
Okay, first of all,
go ahead, Mojupe.
Okay, first of all, it's a good thing that a lot of media attention has been focused on, a lot of this. The IDP situation is getting a lot of media coverage. It's actually a very good thing. But I would also draw something from I'll draw something from what Neema said. Something she said. She mentioned it in passing, but it's actually very important. Now there are a number of unregistered camps. What this means is that in every community, you just have a group of people that will just go to a certain place and make accommodation for themselves. Now, there was one of such camps I went to when I was in Adamawa. This was literally people living in the bush. It took us like a 45 minutes drive from town. So it was somewhere that wasn't close at all. And we kept going. As we kept driving, I was asking the driver that, sorry, please, I'm from Lagos. Where exactly are you taking me to? Because I started to get scared. We kept driving into a bush. He was like, no, he knows that there are certain people that live here. And then we drove, and as soon as we got there, I was shocked. You had people that were using sticks to build shelter. For goodness sake, I felt like I was in 1930 something. Because I couldn't believe it. I was like, people were building shelters with sticks, literally, and then they would put palm fronds on top of the sticks, and they would live inside. I took pictures, but the pictures were so gruesome. I couldn't even put the pictures up because I felt that it would even offend certain people's sensibilities because it was just hilarious. Now, there are pockets of these sorts of camps everywhere, and in as much as we're getting some attention we're getting media attention from for people that are in registered camps, right? Nobody is accounting, or nobody is even taking into consideration that, you know what, there are certain people somewhere that we don't even have any idea how they are fending, because they are still Nigerians, and under the law, regardless of whether they are victims of violence or conflict or natural disasters, they still remain citizens of Nigeria, right? So I'm still very much I still think that a lot of we're not doing enough in terms of attention. I still think that there should also be a focus on, you know what, there are certain people that are in camps that are not registered. Let's look for them. Let's try and coordinate this. Now, drawing to your question as regards the funds that are meant for IDPs, to be honest, one of the camps I work with, they say it often that most of the time the funds they get are from private individuals. So they get donations from people from Lagos and Abuja and all of that. And then I asked them, I said, okay, but the government is supposed to provide. They said, the reaction I get from them is, well, we get some stipends from the government once in a while, but they make it look like whenever the government comes to drop anything, it looks like the government is doing them a favor, right? So most times these things do not even come. And then I think that a major problem, because corruption is a widespread problem in Nigeria, all of us are aware of that, but I think a major problem in terms of the IDP situation is a coordination of efforts. There has to be a proper channel. So we have to understand what the plan is. If we do not have a plan, so it's almost certain that resources are going to be diverted, because you do not have a proper channel saying that, okay, this is going to move us from point A to point B. When you do not have that route, that clearly defined route on how to go about distribution of resources, then of course different resources are going to be diverted on the wayside. It is just a normal thing because there is no clear plan. So I do not want to start accusing anybody of diverting IDP funds or saying that certain people have been corrupt. What I still believe is that because we do not have a proper channel, that's why whatever resources are coming from point A is not going to get to point Z, which is where we want it to get to. So that's what I have to say about the situation. So until NEMA comes out to tell us that, okay, this is exactly how the funds that have been raised are being used. These are the channels which they pass through. These are the measures that have been put in place to ensure accountability and transparency. Only then can we now say, okay, we're actually serious about the situation. But you can't just have different, I mean, it's not coordinated at all. It's not. And then when you have uncoordinated efforts like that, obviously there's always going to be waste and, diversion. So I think that the major thing is getting it coordinated.
Let me come in there, Modupe. Now, what you're telling me is, it's a little contrary to what we have been seeing in the media, because the NEMA, that's NEMA, National Emergency Management Agency, we're always seeing reports, news, they're doing things, they're moving relief materials, and they're telling people, they seem to be active. So, but what you're saying now seems contrary to that. It seems as though, it's just for the media, and the effect is not being felt. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that they do not provide any relief materials to the people in the camps. Now, another thing is, it's also one thing for you to, I would take anything that NEMA says with a pinch of salt, and I can say it to any director in NEMA and tell them, I will take it with a pinch of salt, because if I did not have any personal experiences, if I didn't talk to some IDPs, if I did not have their numbers on my phone, I would not. I wouldn't come out boldly to say I do not think they are being taken care of. Now, relief materials gets to, I would only use the camp I have experience with, right? So this particular camp, relief material gets to them, but it doesn't get to them as often. And when it does get to them, it's almost as if they are being done a favor. So it's like, oh, you don't deserve what is coming to you, but we are giving you anyway, so you should be grateful for whatever you get. That's the idea. Now, so what I'm just trying to say is, whatever NEMA is doing, I feel that, because it's like for NEMA to come out and say, yes, this is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it, but there are no checks. You don't have, when you have agencies like that have been entrusted with such a very important task, then you should also have checks and balances in place to say, because the agency can always come and say, oh yes, I am good and this is what I am doing, but you do not have any channels to check that. Okay, what are the impacts? You have to have, you have to have methods to measure impact and effectiveness. You can't just give a mandate and then just give a mandate and just leave it at that. So because I do not feel that NEMA has enough checks and balances, or enough checks actually, and that is why I am still not satisfied. I do not know if any other person has contrary opinions to this, but I am still not satisfied with the way NEMA has handled the IDP situation. If it's an issue of lack of resources, I'm not sure. But what is clear to me is that there is no coordination of efforts when it comes to NEMA, and there is no clear plan. NEMA has to tell us exactly what the plan is. Do you want these people to remain IDPs for life? What is the plan to move them from IDPs to non-IDPs? I mean, it's not just about giving them food once in a while. There has to be a clear plan, and that's all I'm saying. And I haven't seen that from any NEMA so far. That's my take.
Thank you, Modupe. Nima, I'm back to you now. Now, Modupe has said a lot. Do you agree with about everything she says, or perhaps you have something you don't agree with? Okay, Nima, I can't hear you.
I think Nima is muted. Do you wanna?
Okay, I'm actually trying to do that, but I don't know what's. Let me see. Hold on a sec. Nima, please just hold on. It's still giving me the mute sign. Even okay, Nima, can you try to unmute from your end?
Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Oh yes, I can. Thank you.
It was muted
So
by
please don't forget about holding the mic to your. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, I think with the little I've learned about disaster management, right, before anything is done, before you start giving relief materials or before you prep talks, you have to assess the situation, which NEMA has not. NEMA hasn't done. NEMA has not assessed the situation. NEMA, to me, has been giving fake, wrong figures. NEMA has been giving wrong figures about the numbers of IDPs that we have in Nigeria. I still remember week, which someone said NEMA is quoting that they have 1.5 million IDPs in Nigeria, which, by the way, I do not believe. Actually, I am not finding it. We have more than 1.5 million internally displaced people in Nigeria. All of a sudden started putting up pictures, giving interviews and giving mattresses. Why now? We've been at this thing for 5 years, right? This is a official handle. We've been at this thing. We've been facing the intelligence for 5 years. And why now? Why in the space of 2 months, putting up pictures, of me giving materials? 2 years after the new administration, by the way, we start putting up pictures saying, this is what has been given to me. Here's what has been given to me. It doesn't make any sense. I just feel like it's not cosmetic thing. Just down the focus on them right now. You get me? To me, when it comes to me, I just think that you just give IDPs. First, if you ask a many of people, like, what do you term or who do you as an internally displaced person person right now, they will give you another term which is get of behavior, which is not meant to be. These officials do not know anything about the management, because I remember vividly 2 weeks ago, I remember 2 weeks ago when I know that there are claims in the media saying that you are shutting down 22 camps. Like, why are you shutting down? Now, this handle proceeded to calling the maker, which by the way I am yet to get an apology for, telling me that I should go shoot some basketball hoops or something, that it is not in my place to ask questions as such. And it is sad. It is actually sad that you think, or an official you think is handling people's rights won't give you a tangible report about what they've been carrying out. To me, that organization needs to, shut them down and probably look for people who are people enough to handle management.
Okay, Nima, because we don't have a Nima rep here, so it's going to be a little one-sided, if I may say. But let me ask you, ladies, is it possible that because the issue of Boko Haram is still ongoing, so to speak, so you have perhaps a fresh set of new internally displaced people per time, and perhaps because, for instance, government had always said they didn't foresee an issue like Boko Haram, so they probably weren't as prepared. Is it possible that the same can be said for the management of IDPs, that okay, this was not pictured, so it was difficult to plan properly for it, and so they're just managing a situation that is still ongoing? Could this be the reason?
No, that's very wrong. I agree. But this is an organization set up to be flawed, violence, be tribal conflict, and you're telling me that because they didn't foresee the situation as such, that's why they are having manpower or lack of knowledge on the issue they were meant to tackle. No, that's not correct. That's absolutely not correct.
All right, starting with you, Nima, what is the way forward? What do you recommend?
Okay. First of all, if NEMA wants to do anything, like I said earlier, they would have to carry out a proper assessment of who they call an internally displaced person in Nigeria. Carrying that out, understanding the figure of these people that we have is something that you can do. Understanding the figure, getting a proper detail of every thing, and that way you know where whatever you are, you will be able to assess the situation. You will be able to know how many people you have to plan for immediately. This is something. If you keep it like all the efforts carrying out is more like coin basket, price. Like you keep saying you're giving out. Yes, that they need to. Yes, it's okay. However, it also has to be like some sort of these people. We have people with PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. We have people with mental illnesses. We have people who healthcare issues, right? These are people that you're supposed to speak to, you're supposed to give help to, and you're supposed to give medicine to, right? But they haven't done anything there. So keep giving injury, giving mattresses, giving phone lines, doing these people any good. Before you put them out there into the community, you have to prep them on the situation and the challenges to be facing ahead. Right? You don't just send them back to a nation or a country which stigmatization is a major role. Before you tell somebody else came now and saying, oh, I can't talk to you because you're a Boko Haram victim. You have to prep them for cases as such, and they should expect. I think with these two major points, I'm sure it will go a very good in helping them forge ahead.
All right, thank you very much, Nima. Modupe, it's over to you now. What do you recommend as a way forward?
Okay, I would tie my recommendations into the last question you asked as regards, the conflict being ongoing, and if, as a result of this, it's posed certain challenges. Of course, because the conflict is ongoing, there are certain challenges, right? But the fact still remains that NEMA does not have any clear strategy. And I am tempted to even believe that NEMA is probably not properly equipped in terms of manpower, in terms of resources, to really handle the situation. Now, I know that NEMA as it is, NEMA is basically set up to, to provide short-term, relief and support to victims of, natural disasters and conflicts and similar occurrences. But more importantly, the way forward for me is for us to begin to think about sustainable solutions. And that's what I'm about, because we cannot have an IDP situation on our hands forever. What happens is you have a growing number of IDPs. Now, I'll give a typical example. A typical example is the camp where, one of the camps where, one of the camps I'm in contact with. The camp coordinator was telling me how they haven't reduced in numbers per se. That's the residents of the camp. And I was a bit surprised because I told him that, but certain communities have been, recaptured from Boko Haram. So like, what's happening? And he told me, he said, these communities have been destroyed. These people have nowhere to go to. So they know that if they are in the camp, at least they will get food in the camp. So what that tells you is that if we do not sort out sustainable solutions to enable these people, relocate back to their communities, or at least relocate them somewhere else, then we're always going to have a growing IDP problem on our hands. Nigeria has too many problems for us to not nip this in the bud. So I'm still of the opinion that all relevant agencies, because you also have the commission, the refugee commission was given a mandate as well, to deal with the situation. It was an executive mandate sometime in 2012. So there are relevant agencies. All relevant agencies, I feel, should come together, and then there should be a coordinated effort amongst all of them, and then there should be a strategy. So we understand that, okay, in terms of short-term solutions, this is what NEMA is doing. In terms of long-term solutions, this is what, maybe the Ministry of Urban and Regional Planning or something is doing. There has to be a plan. So I'm still of the opinion that whether the conflict is ongoing or not, one major issue is we have to understand what our strategy in addressing our IDP issues are, because it's a humanitarian crisis that is growing and it will keep growing. So we have to understand it. And when we have a particular, we have an entirely displaced persons policy. Actually, I think it's a 2012 policy, but that policy has actually not been implemented at all. The policy is actually it's very detailed as to how we're supposed to deal with the situation and then what the solutions are, but it's just lying somewhere. It hasn't been nothing has been done to it. I'm not even sure it has been signed, but it was prepared because at some point, the Jonathan administration asked for certain people to come together to draw up a policy. So we have that policy, but that policy has not been implemented yet. So I think we have to start thinking of implementing that policy so NEMA understands exactly what they're supposed to do, and all relevant agencies understand as well. So that's the only way I think we can move forward. We can't just keep, having uncoordinated efforts. That's what I think.
I'm sorry, Maya, I'm sorry to cut you.
Please go ahead.
We also, like, throughout this conversation, something skipped my mind. Aside NEMA, we also have SEMA, which is a state
emergency management
agency. Now, which, by the way, SEMA in most of this country, I don't know about the outside Medjugorje, but within Borno, the only thing that is known for is more like food items. right? Um, During this whole incident, I, I, I still do not understand why, the government state aren't playing like in trying to situation. Everyone, every one of us, I'm also trying to use us because they are Nigerian as myself. Haven't, we haven't helped the IDPs in terms of focus and accountability and stuff. Like we haven't done anything major thing. There's more to giving people just food items, right? There is more to just giving. There's more to giving just medicine. These are like that. People that go through major, major things. We should be able to come up with some sort of plan. Right. There are people who are probably known in this field for disaster management, liquor management, and the rest. But you think that the uh, what's it called now? The national government also has a role as well for
Hello. But if you know that,
Go ahead, Nima.
yes. So you will see that everyone, we are all in this. I think if we can all come together, try to tackle this solution one time for all, with the intelligence and the practice that is actually hovering around us, which is a refugee crisis.
All right, thank you very much, Nima and Mujupe. Thank you for joining
You're
us now
welcome.
and sharing your thoughts and experiences with us. We do hope that something concrete will be done and done soon. All right, this is where we'll bring the conversation to a close. Of course, you guys know that we can continue on Twitter at @ChannelSpin. So the hashtag is IDPSituation if you would like to join the conversation on Twitter. Thank you so much, ladies.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mama. It was great
Thank
talking to you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.